Something a little different. Something a little different. Thought I would try do a little exciting intro. So welcome to RTD Live. Looking forward to chit chatting a little bit. Hoping that we have a good turnout tonight so we can chit chat on this very important topics, I believe, which will be Bitcoin, central banking, and these futures that are just seeming to pop up out the woodworks. So let me get my computer situated here. Audio wise, I see there's a couple people online. Let me know if you can hear my voice. And so if I know that I'm, connected and everything is going smoothly. So on the chat, there we go. Was it Stampedus DP? What's up, my friend? Thanks for joining us. What's up, RTD? How you doing, man? I hope you got some questions. I tried to pose just something to think about. Give you something to think about. Hopefully you had a chance to, come up with some questions or whatnot to ask the group. Big B, yes. Good to hear from you, my friend. So I wanted to, I think this topic here, I think is very important, and it actually came to mind, I think it was over the weekend. And so right when I get an idea, I try to act upon it. And then this one hit me by surprise because there's been a lot of alternative media gentlemen in the crypto space that's really talking about, what this futures and the ETFs and all these things are going to do for cryptocurrencies and how people are expecting a big breakout, of which, the breakout is inevitable. So I don't think the futures is actually going to be in the favor of those who are looking for those upward trends in cryptocurrencies as well as altcoins. So got a couple of things I want to share. And speaking of which, I had some notes on my phone, but I can't seem to find my phone. So we're going to work around it anyway. But so other than that, how's everybody doing, man? A couple people online, chime in. Let me know in the chat where you're from. And if you had a chance to take some time to jot down a question or two to ask the group. And then most importantly, what I would like to do, because this is called RTD Live Talk. So I eventually want to hear somebody's voice, because it's one thing to talk to a camera and look for people to respond via chat, but I would love to have people call in. And so the Skype ID that you can use to call in, and if everything works correctly, you'll be able to, if you would like to be video, I can probably screen share and have you on the screen. And you can share your thought or your questions or whatnot, whatever it might be, via Skype. So let's see what's going on. So we have Annie Ghost here from Puerto Rico. I'm here in Puerto Rico, in the suck. Not sure what that means. What do you mean by that? JP Morgan is already, right as Jamie Dimon was saying, it was a scam. Jamie Dimon saying it was a scam. Yeah, that was all, and that's the thing. Like whenever someone in the mainstream media, a celebrity figure / bankster comes out and downplays something, they're concerned about it. So that was a bait and switch move anyway. I don't think not too many people bought into it anyway. It says, do you personally own any crypto? Stampedus DP, I am a believer in the technology. And so, yes, I have invested in it because I believe that, and this plays into the whole rethinking the dollar concept. One of the big things I love to preach is alternative thinking outside the box. And when it comes to the Federal Reserve note, and of course, this is all my opinion. So, and I'm sure if you're a follower, you understand as well that there's no future in a note. And so if there's no future in a fiat currency and fiat currency in general, if you're holding anything outside of paper, you have a much better chance as opposed to holding a Federal Reserve note or a Zimbabwe dollar or Venezuelan bolivar or you name it. Them things all go return to their intrinsic value, which is zero. And so history has proven it. So if you're holding anything from the most smallest, unimportant cryptocurrency, you have a better chance of its retaining purchasing power if anybody's aware of it or if anybody wants it. So we have Annie Ghost from Kansas City. You're from Kansas City, but you're in Puerto Rico right now. So thanks for joining us. Queens, New York is in the building. We have Missouri, Mr. Tim. We got Gotta Diversify. Gotta Diversity? Diversify. Michael, got you. Diversify, definitely. Missouri is here, Big from Big B. So welcome, man. Are there any brave souls because I would love to test and see if this Skype connection is actually fully functional, because for some reason, whenever Skype does their updates, they always seem to add on more than what's needed, which requires you to, you know, give up more of your information and to add in bigger files to your computer. So I'm trying my best to figure out if this thing works. But we have the Economic Truth from Manitoba, Canada. Welcome, my friend. Are you a blogger as well, or a vlogger, or a YouTuber, or with the Economic Truth? I believe you are preaching the good monetary gospel of repent, change your mind away from the Federal Reserve note and any other fiat currency for that matter. So I have a couple computers in front of me, so I'm going back and forth. But wanted to just basically get some response to the question I put out there from those that saw the video prior, when I asked the question above my head, you know, when will the Federal Reserve start buying cryptos, or Bitcoin primarily? And so any ideas, any suggestions out there, or any thoughts that might have come to mind when you heard that question that you might want to pose to us? The Economic Truth. I was on your show a while back. Okay, Economic Truth. Okay, I feel kind of bad, 'cause I'm trying to think. Give me, if you don't mind, give me your first name. Do me a favor. If you're on Skype, give me a call right now, if you can. RTD Live, or RTD_Live. Once you type in search, you'll see a picture of me. And okay. The end of freedom, higher monetary system, and slavery. Okay. So hey man, I appreciate you joining us. Definitely, I know you are a very wise man, so I'm looking forward to you here, you know, chiming in. And so that's the thing, man. With this, the whole little live chat, it's meant to be something that we all can contribute to. So I believe we all, John. Okay, John, I apologize. Welcome, brother. I appreciate you joining us. And so definitely, you have been very busy, very active yourself, doing your thing. I think it's with your co-host or whatnot, partnering with the gentleman. I've seen your senior video. So doing a good job there, my friend, spreading the truth. Good job. Appreciate it. Keep it up. So yeah, definitely. If you are online, want to call in, man, I'd love to have you join me, because you do a good job breaking down the global monetary system and how it's crumbling. So will Fed comes out with the crypto? Will the Fed come out with crypto? Good question. The Fed will do whatever it takes to retain a sense of importance. So as of now, to get into one of the points I wanted to highlight on this whole Bitcoin, crypto, central banking, is the fact that what causes me to really question this sudden mainstream push for cryptos is the fact that there's like major news syndicates pushing for Bitcoin now. So with so many people preaching Bitcoin, why? I mean, why are those that stand to lose the most out here preaching Bitcoin? So you have all those people who are doing a lot of brokerage houses and hedge fund managers, pension funds, and all these financial institutions that have been dependent upon the stock market. It's at a all-time high too. So why do you all of a sudden preaching Bitcoin? So I believe, you know, 2018, we got something we should be concerned about, because Kenneth Rogoff wrote about this in The Curse of Cash. Yeah. So yeah, which crypto is my favorite? All the ones on the top, all the top 20 on the coinmarketcap.com, I tend to follow and keep an eye on, just because they all serve a purpose. And if not a purpose, they all are major eye getters as of now, because they're of high value as far as total market cap. So I don't see those things going anywhere anytime soon. Perfect timing, isn't it? Yeah. That's why crypto is big in the first place. It's unregulated. Right. And so that's how this whole thing is being set up. It's been set up as it's being decentralized. It's this innovation that's one of a kind, nothing like it. And what really troubles me is those people who've been in this truth monetary gospel space for so long, who are diehard silver gold fans, how they just talking down gold and silver, man. Like they're not turning their back on their first love, but they're getting caught up in this digital stuff, man. I think it's going to be dangerous, because one of the points that I'm going to hit on, speaking of which, give me 1 second. I have got my notes in front of me. And so some of the things I wrote down, it's not in order, but just all the kind of thoughts that came to my mind that I thought I wanted to share and get your thoughts on it as well. And so let me look up here. Coincidence as the dollar dies. No, it's not a coincidence. I think this is by design. I think this is all right on time. We're going to find out. And so, you know, one of the questions or a couple of the topics I put, let me look at it. Okay, so yeah, one of the things, as I was getting back to my point about the whole financial institutions really pumping up Bitcoins and alternative things is, you know, why now, and why as we head into the end of this year is there such a push? So that when the new year comes into play, there's going to be so many people flooding in, and we have, you know, as people say all the time, big institutional money piling in. And so when you have all of these major news syndicates pumping it up, it stands to hurt them. And the fact that the government is kind of somewhat, or the United States government for the most part, is kind of silent, not really making much fuss about it. I actually got an article here that I'm going to share with you as well about Jerome Powell and some of his comments and how he's keeping an eye on it. But, you know, one thing that's most important is cryptos undermine fiat currencies. And so what people are really saying is that if people start believing in, trusting in, confident, and becoming confident in gains with cryptos, they have to get out of the fiat currencies to get into crypto. So they have to get rid of paper. And so getting rid of paper is dangerous for our monetary system, because if no one's borrowing, everyone's trying to exchange or redeem those notes, which they have the full right to do so. That means that those notes, it's going to become very plentiful if nobody's wanting them or trading them. So that's one of the points I wanted to hit about. So anybody got a comment on that, feel free to share. It says coincidence, dollars, economic truth. So people don't understand what gold and silver really is. It's wealth insurance, not an investment as many people think it is. Wealth insurance, I do agree. And you know, and John, on another note, just, you know, I love using analogies, and a whole wealth insurance, I look at gold and silver and any form of alternative wealth storage outside of paper as you know, as sponges. And sponges in the term of being able to suck up some of this liquidity that's out here, because all these trillions upon trillions of debt notes out there, anyone who holds sponges will be able to actually absorb some of that liquidity out there. And then once, you know, this is all my opinion, of course, John, I'm sure you can chime in on this as well, but when this recession officially hits and the central bank is forced to respond, they're going to cut on those printing presses and crank up those digital dials just a little bit, and they're going to flood the market with liquidity. And people who hold sponges are going to be the ones that absorb a lot of that stuff. And you're going to absorb it for the system after everything comes apart. So you can squeeze some of that out into the new currency and then be able to purchase some of the things available then. So that's just my thought a little bit, but I feel like I'm ranting. So I wish there's somebody out there that can call in and so I can hear a voice. So RTD Live, anybody have time to log on and give me a call on Skype? I would appreciate it. Alex, love the channel, appreciate it. Thank you for the comment. It says, Alex, slap a Bitcoin or Ether address on your description so I can send you some. Oh, really? Would you do that, man? I appreciate that. I don't know if I have access to one of these computers, but I appreciate that offer, man. And I'll definitely try to, before I leave here, I try to find a way in the midst of this to give you an address if you want to contribute to the work here. I appreciate it. What else we got? It says the fact that major news is behind it is a reason to be concerned, and that should be a red flag. That should be a big red flag. So all the people who are, and I'm not preaching against cryptos, don't get me wrong, because it's a viable source, but it's not coincidence, and it's not going to be what we all think it is initially. And so I believe that once all this extra liquidity is pumped into the market, I kind of believe, and that's going to get into my next topic. The next point that I want to hit on is the fact that when this recession hits, I can actually see the Federal Reserve, Mr. Jerome Powell over my shoulder right here, deciding to pump some of that liquidity into the crypto market to purchase some of those things, to kind of inflate the price even more, which is going to cause a lot of people, more so cryptos, if you see overnight that it's going up 10, 20, 30%, it's going to look like a sure bet. And then what do you think will happen when they, you know, type in the screen $1 trillion, and then they go to some exchange or however they go about doing it, and they just put 1 trillion into Bitcoin, and then everybody all of a sudden is a millionaire or a gazillionaire, whatever it is. And so they purchase how many ever coins, and then the next thing you know, they just pour all those Bitcoins on the market, and the price drops, and then we have a crypto recession, a crypto panic, and then everybody see how they were rich one night and basically poor the next day, and they all look to sell because it was intended to shake up your confidence in cryptos. So that's kind of that was the big point I really wanted to get across, the idea that the central bank, when the recession hits, they're going to purchase cryptocurrencies off, and I'm extremely confident in that. Call me crazy, but yet you say pop goes the weasel. Yeah, the weasel go pop. And a lot of people who are depending upon it. It's one thing to not necessarily play around with it, but to participate in the rise. And then, you know, from a post I put up last week around all the tax stuff and things like that, I haven't quite figured out how that stuff is ironed out because it's all experimental. But definitely being able to redeem some of that crypto for something tangible, something worth value, something historical that you would tend to find at the bottom of the ocean on a sunken treasure ship is ideal, which you probably want to have in your hands. Says, reminds me a lot of the .com bubble. Joshua. Yeah, and also a lot of people are planning up to be that. We'll see. It says Bitcoin strength was originally founded in illegal and shady transactions. Some may say so. I mean, because of, you know, of course, also keep in mind that the mainstream media has promoted the idea that it's primarily for money laundering and tax evasion. So they're playing that mainstream narrative, and then the mainstream syndicates run with that story. So that kind of is what we're told. But yet, what about the other side of the story? Because there's always a different side than what we're told. So I believe it is used for that, but it's been more useful to help people get outside of the coming collapse, however that may play out. It says why the term hold is used. HODL, HODL, why hold is used. Hold on for dear life. Okay, Omnibone, good one. Tim, people have to sell them to them first. Very true. So how do you get involved? How do you get into the cryptos? And you have to primarily go through exchanges. And that plays into the whole privacy decentralized thing. It ain't really private and decentralized if you have to go through a major exchange with all your personal information into that system. It says take profit, get some gold and get some silver for sure. I think inflation first from the lack of liquidity, and then first up the presses, prior inflation like never ever seen before. And right before printing, they'll be buying up the last assets for pennies on a dollar. Yeah, I can see that, because watch this. If you look over time, and this is something I did research on about a year ago, and one thing I noticed that every single recession or depression or crash or something, the Federal Reserve is the initiator of it by expanding the credit market, and then they call the credit back in. It causes a recession, then a depression or something like that. And along the way, they just get bigger and stronger. Whether it's, I think the Great Depression led to the most, I think it was private as well as just private banks in general. There was, I forgot the number, this is a while ago, but it'll say if it's 30,000, national banks, regional banks, city banks throughout the country. After the Great Depression, that went down to like maybe 1,000 or 1,500. So they lost a lot of people, a lot of private banks and whatever went out of business. And of course, it was all intended for the money trust, or I forgot, Robert Barron's money trust. All of those banks, JP Morgan's, I actually had the list of all, I think it was 10 or 11 banks that grew and bought up all those other banks, and they became too big to fail back in the Great Depression era. And so we're reminded to this last Great Depression. You had all the banks that went under. And so now we have the too big to fail banks, where it's only, I think, 7, 8 banks now that's too big to fail. And then that's another topic in and of itself. It says wrong, Google Bitcoin ATM. Omnibone, Google Bitcoin ATM. Okay, so I've actually went to 2 Bitcoin ATMs, and in order to get Bitcoin out of our machine, you got to put your address, your name, your telephone number. So those are all ways that they can keep an eye on what you're depositing, what you're withdrawing. So I'm not sure which company for Bitcoin ATMs, but there's 2 different brands that I popped up at to see what was going on, and both of them I had to enter in a lot of information. So, RTD, are you a trader? Trader, as far as trader in cryptocurrencies, no, I'm not really a trader. I think in this environment, I'm not really looking to, here's the thing, this is my belief. let me know if you feel me or if you think I'm wrong. I don't really, there's no real need to go out here and start trading and really seeking, you know, I mean, I'm not really pressed to really try to make a killing. I'm more so interested in helping people wake up to the truth. So I'm more interested in reaching out to people who don't know anything about this and give them some information so that they can, basically retain some of their wealth as things transition on. So my whole idea is that monetary policy, and once again, this is just me talking, monetary policy is a shoe-in. It's 100% guarantee that the central banks are going to fail and that anybody outside their conventional stream of financial assets, whether it be stocks, bonds, all the things that everyone's been sold forever and trusted upon, those things are going to come to an end. So if you got anything outside of those things monetarily, you're going to be all right. So if you hold just 1 ounce of gold or how many ever silver coins, when things reset and restructure, the fiat paper is going to flush into those sponges, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to be so large, it won't take much for you to come on the other side better off now than prior to the crash. So you don't really have to do much to preserve your wealth. So there's no real need to go out here, and this is all my opinion, to try to buy up the entire world to be the next, JP Morgan yourself. No, that's not needed, because think about this, only 0.01% of the population know about this truth here. So it's not many people out here who are prepared or able to monetarily or financially transition, into the next system we're going to be under. So don't take much. Local Bitcoin, it's a site.com. Familiar with that. Haven't used it in a while. And so, but the problem with localbitcoins.com, Bone, is that a lot of the prices are there, the premiums are so high, and a lot of people aren't. It's a lot of people that's all scattered all over the country, and a lot of people haven't logged in lately, and so you can't really tell, who's for real, who's not. So I tend not to mess with that. Robert McGee, nothing says you got to choose, keep your metals and get crypto too. Yeah, that's valid. So both of those, in my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, are sponges for all this liquidity that's out here now and more that's to come. So you're going to be, if you're holding on to something like that, I believe you'll be okay. It says, I agree with Robert. Cryptos gives you the opportunity to increase your silver holdings by selling crypto profit. I agree. And that's the thing, like, it's not a right or wrong. It's whatever works for you guys. And I appreciate you sharing that so other people who are reading along can see that, can see this and, have something to think on. It says, is this live? Albino, yes, we are live. Wave if you read this. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Honest money is metals and cryptos due to the math and blockchain. Honest money is metals and cryptos due to the math. Honest money, sound money. Tim, I do agree. eBay has people selling BTC. Yeah, it's the premium that's the killer. You get like 0.001 Bitcoin for $100, which I'm not sure that even the math is even correct, but people on eBay get over big time. But if that's the way to, if that's the way you want to do it, that's great. eBay has people that will mine crypto for you. Yeah, here to help guide if needed. So OmniBone, give me a question, man. Give us a question. Give us something to think about. If you want, man, give me a call on Skype. I want to see. I haven't had a chance to check, but I want to see if anybody out there can call in on Skype. I would love to hear somebody's voice, because I had to set up a whole new account. So I want to make sure this RTD Live link is even good, because I could be telling you guys to call in and it not even be active. So I would appreciate it if somebody wanted to call in. I would love to hear your voice. No phone, honestly. How will BTC be affected if net neutrality fails? Leo, that's a good question. Anyone has an answer for Leo? How will BTC be affected if net neutrality fails? And to be honest with you, Leo, I haven't really been up on that lately, so I don't really know. It says there's a gas station on Connor and Mack in Detroit selling Bitcoins. Phyllis, very true. I take it you probably stopped in or you saw it. That's how you know. Phone to phone. Phone to phone. Phone to phone. How about, so Omni, are you on a computer or near a computer? Because if you log into Skype, that'll be easier. How will BTC be effective net neutrality? Anybody have an answer for Mr. Leo on that net neutrality if that fails? It says blacks are being sold for $1 less than Xbox. Huh? But okay, Xbox. I'm not sure. Xbox ain't really the conversation right now. No phone, honestly, phone to phone. Sorry, no Skype. Fair enough. The internet is worldwide. If it fails there, it will come back. Many smart people around to see it, to see that. The Fed is using Bitcoin to save themselves, and they will use for control by buying most and using this transition to a cashless society. What do you think? Oh, that is a very, very great point there. So yeah, the idea that the Federal Reserve could in return buy up Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies or any other top altcoins in general to corner the market. Here's the thing. Here's another point we'll get to. The second point. The first point was, I forgot the first point was. Somebody remind me if you remember. But another point is cornering the market. The Federal Reserve has been a world reserve currency for 70, 80 years. They're not trying to get out of Detroit, LOL. So Federal Reserve has had a reserve currency for the last 70, 80 years. They're not going to let cryptocurrency, if they're not the creator or didn't originate from them, destroy their monopoly on the reserve status of the Federal Reserve note. So believe me, they're going to do something to get involved in this market, because they can't allow people to dump their currency to buy this digital stuff that goes outside of them, supposedly, as of now. So the Bitcoins and cryptocoins are competition for Federal Reserve notes as well as any other currency. And so I actually read an article or saw an article in the UK that the Treasury, I believe, has mentioned that they're going to now require people to give their information if they're participating in cryptos. So somebody can validate that for me, but I believe I read that. It says, "Guy Detroit cannot buy most because most has not been mined and bought by them for the start." But here's the thing, Ami Bone, if the price goes up, or if there's some type of private institution that is funded by this $1 trillion of newly printed cash out there advertising via social media, saying that they'll pay you for your Bitcoin with the premium. And so say if Bitcoin was $12,000 this particular day, but this company, because they are whatever they're advertising, say they'll give you 15,000, 14,000 for one coin right now because they got a slush fund of all this newly printed money. It's good to say a lot of people gonna dip into that stash and sell some Bitcoin. So it's not hard for them to offer you all the digits in the world because they can print it. As Alan Greenspan said, they can pay out anything they want. So, and that's the thing. If you're going for a dollar sign with these cryptos, you know, what's the limit, or to how high the Bitcoin can go before the actual that dollar sign with the squiggly thing it loses its value, and it loses its what I'm trying to say is loses the stage that it's on. Like, for example, if Bitcoin goes to $100,000 next year, but yet the Federal Reserve note is in trouble, and I got another point. The whole idea that Bitcoin is one form of competition that the Federal Reserve note and the United States government has to deal with. But then you got our neighbors out east with all this gold yuan stuff going on. So that's the third point I wanted to hit on, that you have so much competition to the Federal Reserve note because people, governments that are aware of what's going on, they want out. And so they're dumping these things, and we'll be dumping them at an alarming amount. This says, Omnibone, 23.7 million each, then hell yeah. Okay, $23 billion, but yet $23 million, if the dollar is hyperinflated and a loaf of bread costs $1 million, would you still get your Bitcoin up? So that's the similar situation in Venezuela. I read someone on Twitter the other day mention how cryptocurrency has helped them in the hyperinflation situation they're in, and he listed the price of what one Bitcoin was, and there's so many zeros. I'm like, dude, like you gotta actually think, you have to look at the numbers to try to count how many zeros that Bitcoin was worth. So you know how much paper that is you gotta hold on to, and the paper, you can't even get rid of the paper in Venezuela. No, so here's something to think about. We're so used to and our paradigm, the dollar paradigm we've been living a part of as citizens, for those that are in the United States of America, we're so confident and comfortable in being able to transact with a dollar on a daily basis. We never really think about the idea that when the dollar hyperinflates away, it's going to change our way of thinking. So we're not even going to think in dollars no more. There will be the introduction of some type of Fed coin or the treasury dollar, or some type of alternative that we're going to be transitioned into. And then it's going to be a matter of how many Federal Reserve notes will exchange for one of these new currencies. So that's the way I think long term you should think about when it's time to, you know, get back into the system after things unravel, is there's going to be a whole new currency. So you're not going to be thinking dollars. I believe, and it's just my thoughts, I believe that the squiggly symbol, our actual dollar symbol, there's going to be a new one coming after all this reevaluation, currency shift, monetary shift out east. And so that dollar sign is not going to be what you think it is. So we're not even going to measure Bitcoins and cryptos and gold and silver in the symbol dollar, or nevertheless the word dollar. The dollar may mess around be a cuss word to a lot of people, especially pensioners, you know what I'm saying? And people are respecting retirements in dollars. It's going to leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. That says it all. Tony, just because it goes up is not thriving. Omnibone, key. I sell when I choose, and many crypto wise will not sell like fools. Hope so. I hope so. Mina Taylor, what are gains on BTC taxed by the IRS when they sell? I read that the IRS just won a court decision to make Coinbase provide BTC between 2013 and 2015. That's true, and so that's the thing. It's so much. It's not really clear, and I'm not one to even chime in on that. If anybody out there know about, you know, any details on the IRS, I feel like landing out there for, I forgot what's her name. I believe it's a young lady. Let me go back out, scroll back up so I can see who I'm talking to. For who's that? I can't quite tell who said that. There we go. For Mina Taylor. Anybody got an answer for Mina Taylor? Feel free to chime in on the chat. Michael Ruiz, when you cash out, if exchange, when you cash out. Right. And also, Michael, another thing was it was a $20,000 threshold that IRS was primarily focusing on. And so, of course, that's going to change because the next court decision will be Coinbase will have to give up all their records. And when they give up all their records, anyone who's been a part of that service will be included in that. That was just my thoughts. Let me pull up this window here. Pay your taxes. I do agree. Definitely do that. Definitely do that. You don't want to be on the outside looking in or the inside of some sales screaming about, oh, I wish I would have, my Bitcoin went up, my cryptos went up, but I'm in here because I tried to not pay and not do this. You know, be legal with everything. Be legal, be lawful. And that's you can be legal and be lawful with everything because I believe it's baked into the cake. The monetary system has to fail, it has to reset. So if you're thinking just hold a little bit of something honestly on the side, you're going to be fine because paper returns to zero. It's not going to be worth anything. So no one's going to want paper. So if you have any type of skills or any type of thing of value to offer people, you're going to do just fine, I believe. It says Maduro is approving his own crypto. Right. I did a video earlier on that, and it was quite interesting. It says Coinbase turnover details. I'll say that. So I got to get caught up. Here we go here. Pay your taxes. Don't be greedy. Do not be greedy. Only 9 people have reported so far. That's what we're told. But yeah, that's what we're told. And I could be like a mainstream spook to get you all caught up in the idea that there's a lot of people out here not reporting. But numbers could be greater than that because don't tell them, 900, that's an even number. So you mean 900 people on the dot? Really? Come on now. I don't believe that. You have to study your environment. Maybe it will buy you 4 homes for my children's families. My medals are for retirement. Right. So your best. And also, once again, please don't take me literally at anything I'm saying. I'm just sharing my thoughts. So this is not financial advice. I like how people always mention that. But yet, I believe, especially for millennials, for younger generation, to go into a job or whatnot, think about IRS, 401k, those things were designed to get us to this point. They told that to our grandparents and to our parents, to the baby boomers and the generation before that, to get them to go along with that 30, 40-year game plan of working for one company. But that all changed in 1974 when they shifted responsibility onto you and I with a 401k. Do you think holding some of your wealth in foreign currencies like rubles or yuan is a smart hedge? Any ghost. That's a catch phrase. Hey, John, if you are on the phone, John, if you are still around John is an economist and a very well-educated man on that matter, does a lot of global studying. So John, please chime in with any ghost question if you are there. But the ruble and yuan, the way it's been positioned right now, they're positioning it to probably, you know, back up their own currencies with gold, as well as other precious metals as oil as well, because all those countries offer a variety of things. So the ruble and the yuan, it could retain some type of value because they can easily peg it to something physical. We have it, like a lot of people say, we have our gold, we're going to be good. Now, do you show us your gold? And that's when, you know, everybody going to open up the vaults and we'll see what's in there. And based upon what's in there, whoever got the most will call the shots. Greed is still prevalent. So, Andy, to answer your question, ruble and yuan as of now is still a fiat currency, not backed by much. But the way they're positioned and the way the mainstream media or the alternative media is kind of commenting, at any minute there was some type of restructuring, they could back it. So they can put their gold where their mouth is, where their currency is. It says, how do they get more power, cause their reason to crack down and set new rules? Hello, IRS. IRS is starting at the top, but they will work their way down the list. Very true, Joshua. I do agree. Lots of greed in crypto, especially the newcomers. So yeah, so here's the thing, like, you know that another red flag is like over Christmas, not Christmas, Thanksgiving. I had a lot of, not a lot, but more than normal people, you know, speaking on or inquiring about Bitcoin and cryptos. Like a lot of people who are aware of what it was or aware of what it is, but never really got into it because at the time it was only, you know, $200-300. It wasn't mainstream. And so now a lot of people are like, man, how do I get some? How do I get some? How do I get some? And so typically in the past, you know, when they used to say, when you hear your taxi cab driver commenting on Bitcoin and giving you advice on which cryptocurrencies to own, that's a sign it's in a bubble. But this could be different because only, you know, a very small percentage of the 7 billion people on the planet have it. So it's hard to say it's a bubble when no one really truly has it. And most of it is out there. The 300 or so billion market cap is held within the grips of, you know, 100 million people on the planet, or 200, 300 million out of 7 billion. So there's still room to grow. So definitely not a bubble. It says 600,000 came into Coinbase on November out of 300 million. Soon, very soon. And that's just Coinbase. Right. That's very true. And that's just what we're told. And then once again, you know, I question those numbers because it's, you know, that I'm not sure if you're quoting that directly from Coinbase, but that's an even number. Like, you know, I just find it hard to believe that 600,000 people logged in. It could have been 1 million plus, and they just kept it user friendly by saying 600,000. It says crypto is like a stock market. You can come out ahead if you know when to get out. I do agree, and that is one thing that you know, definitely can be something worth looking into. And so that's why I think, you know, having some is not a bad thing, because I look at some of them like penny stocks. And so just, you know, share with you my thoughts on how I engage in the crypto world is, you know, for me to take a $20 Federal Reserve note and to purchase some lesser valued cryptos for the sake of, you know, seeing the outcome of it as all these altcoins flood in, because most people want and prefer to hold a single coin in and of itself. And so not too many people realize, you know, there's still value in buying into Bitcoin, even though it's at 11 or whatever it is, 1,000. So people say, I want to hold my own single coin so that if it goes to this, I can have a whole coin. So the idea of having a whole coin is big. So there's a lot of coins out there, tokens or whatever they may be, that are small and under 20, 30 cents that are useful and that what they're promising to do, and that they have some longevity. Also look at longevity. If they've been around for quite a while, then, you know, they're stable, people know about them, so they have a greater chance of being around if things do go crazy. But then once again, if people can't get into the more expensive ones, they're going to go for the small dogs. And the small dogs, all it takes is, you know, 10% increase. You can kind of double, triple that 20 or turn it into something outrageous. It says, Stampeders, I have Litecoin. I do believe in Litecoin as well. If you hold metals and have no cryptos when the system fails, at what point would you trade in? If you have no metals and you have cryptos, when the system fails, at what point would you trade in, and will it truly be a fair trade as far as maintaining some wealth in the fall? That all depends on what it can purchase and the confidence of the people who's on the other side of that deal. If they are aware of the value of it and it can purchase something, then I believe it'll be worth at any point you can trade it, because it'll be trading value for value, or a physical car or a physical house for one coin, or one brick of whatever it may be. So it's all based upon how it's valued will determine, in my opinion, whether it be worth getting rid of and how you'll know what it's worth. 100% right. If you ever see a perfectly round number like 10, you know it's either a lie or a guesstimate. Isn't meant to fail like the rest of the system. No diamonds and no debt. Jay Scott. Gene Maddox. Mina Taylor, do you think it's possible that the U.S. has more gold than they are letting on, and perhaps that's why they really don't care about what's happening with the dollar? Oh man, there's been a lot of reports out there that has talked about the idea that there were a lot of late night runs to Fort Knox, and the trucks came in riding high and they left riding mighty low, carrying a lot of tonnage. So I would believe that a part of keeping this manipulated system together, they've leased out, sold, or whatever, a lot of that gold. And so if it's going out of that vault, there's no coming back. And so the alternative would be, I noticed, and I'm not sure about why this is or the historical aspect of it, but the fact that the federal government or the United States government has a lot of federal land. There's a lot of federal land or isolated areas throughout this country that is reserved for Federal Reserve, and they say it's for nature preservation and wildlife preservation and to keep a little bit of forest life. But yet I looked at a lot of those images of those federal lands, and they're mountains, and they're areas that, like the places in Nevada, and those places are rich in minerals and natural resources, I'm sure. So there's oil, gold, and all types of natural resources in those Federal Reserve lands or federal lands. And so if there is no gold, which most people believe is the case, then those federal lands are loaded with a lot of resources that could be used as a means of backing somehow, even though it take a long time to get out, but we'll see. Says new sub, bang chief, all is one. Great work, brother. All right, my friend, appreciate you for subscribing. Got any want to chime into the conversation a little bit, feel free to do so. That's the $1 trillion question. I assume that's about if there's gold. Says Mina, they all work together. It's not a split. They only do that for us to fight about. It's true that only 21 million Bitcoin. Is it true only 20 Bitcoins will ever be mined? As of right now, there will be more, and this is my opinion. Somebody chime in. There will be more than 21 million Bitcoins, because there's a Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Plus, Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. I even heard, my mother talking about starting a Bitcoin. So it's going to be, there's going to be 10, 20, 30 Bitcoins out there. So, if they all fork and soft fork and hard fork, there's going to be a lot of things called Bitcoin out there at the end of the day. 1% hold 90% of all the wealth. They are not scared and don't care what we think or do, including Bitcoin. I wish that was true. I hope that is true, but yet it's all about control. And to my knowledge, there's a very few families and people that control our monetary system. And so whoever controls the money makes the decision. So they want to make sure they control what we use on a daily basis, what we spend our time, energy, and effort working for, so that they can dictate how it's collected back in taxes and so forth. So I think they do care. 80% of Utah is owned by the feds. It's ridiculous. 80%. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, so the question is that 80% of Utah, we know, I would imagine Utah is loaded with wealth under the ground. It's just wealth waiting to be excavated out of there. So definitely, there's a lot of things down there. And what bothers me is I'm not real comfortable with the government owning land. But hey, Federal Reserve, you think will seize land if we default during the next crash? Federal Reserve will seize land. Oh man, seize land. Well, the Federal Reserve, they already own a good chunk of real estate with mortgage-backed securities. So they are the biggest real estate owner in our country. So they do own a lot of land already. They own the house and the ground underneath it. So sure, why not? They already own all that real estate. So yeah, might as well take the vacant lots and federal lands as well. you know, I can see that happening. Just, you know, being funny about it. China is building new Silk Road, big investing in Africa, mineral rich. China making, yeah, man. So okay, who said that? Joshua. I'm glad you mentioned that. That leads to my third point. I believe it is, and that point is why I believe Mr. Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve and the CME Group and all those people are beginning to really ramp up this rush into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to get their foot in the door, because they need to at least control something, because they can't control what's happening out east. And what I mean by out east, let me give you a little something right here that I can share with you. I'll share my screen share. Bam, drop that. So here we have, if you can see this, here we have Russia and China could set international gold price based on physical gold trading. And so I didn't really get a chance to thumb through this article, but these are this is one of the things that is definitely, you know, something that the United States can't really control, because when you have all these nations that are major players on a monetary role in a monetary scene, and they're rich in natural resources as well as human labor, we have Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, all these countries here. They already got the game sold up. They already know what's going on. They already have everything set. All the systems are go. They have the vault. They got the deals. They got contracts signed. They got everything ready to go. And so, like I mentioned the other day, once they flip that switch and they get this gold, the repricing of gold and silver done out east, and then they do everything as far as all those oil futures or whatnot, whatever it is, oil future contracts, and people start redeeming them or exchanging them for gold or something of that nature, we're going to be called out on the carpet, us, meaning the United States of America. And when that happens, that's when people will really begin to feel the pinch of what has not been known or what's been explored. Hold on, I got to get my screen back on. It says stop, cancel. How do I do this? So I think I'm already on here. Yeah. So I think you guys see me. So I'm just making sure. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Give me 1 second. I made a error. Screen share. Cameraman. Stop screen sharing. Stop. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Opening cameraman. So I believe there we go. Okay. So I'm back on. So back to my point. Yeah. So everything out east with all those developments, they are fully aware of what's going on. They are ready to set and go. Once the light switch is turned on, power going to go out over here monetarily and financially. There's going to be some major hang-ups that's going to cause a lot of problems. Omnibone, cash out from Coinbase, you pay taxes on it, all transactions. That could be an old comment. What else we got here? It says to pay back the debt to the Federal Reserve, you think the United States will push the world into another world war. Oh man, anything's possible when you run the risk of losing 100 years worth of monopolizing the world and forcing the world to bow down to your every demand. So there's no telling what can happen, man. Like, that's one thing I never try to get into what coulda, shoulda, just because you never know. But one thing we do know, one thing I know, and I try to encourage people here rethinking a dollar, is that monetary policy and fiscal policy have already failed the people. And so you can see with the whole idea of the fact that people are excited about another digital type of currency. The dollars are already, 98% digital with 2% actual physical cash. So we got people that's excited about another digital currency that's labeled as decentralized and outside the control of the bank. So that's a reflection that monetary policy is not working and it's failing, because people are excited to get back into more digits, saying that it's going to save humanity and it's going to do this, going to do that. So we'll see. Too many here are too attached to cash for them to rush it, so we have time. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I imagine, I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Ernest Robertson, a retired economist in Zimbabwe. And so it's from RTD episode 40 or 30 or something. It was a while back, and I actually reached out to him recently to have him back on because of the recent removal of Mugabe, to find out his take on that, but I haven't heard back. But anyway, so in the conversation with him, he was telling me how he spent his whole life. He's like 70, 80 years old. How he spent his whole life working to save Zimbabwe dollars, and for him to explain the whole process of how it crumbled and how his pension was lost and how he had to go back to work. And it was a real sad story, man. But that, you know, people are so conditioned to, you know, use paper and to accept the swiping of a card that most people aren't really ready for anything else. And that's going to be the major shock. That's going to be the major paradigm wake up when people realize that, you know, paper and swiping your card is it's going to come to an end in some form or fashion. So definitely it's going to be a shock. Says old ways die hard, die slow, but in time it does go. Right. Yeah. And usually after the pain is when people wake up, because not until people actually are confronted with reality that they actually begin questioning why things have been crumbling all along. 300% markup on diamonds. Yep. I don't have any diamonds. Diamonds are artificially kept high in price. IMF, International Money Fund, diamonds can be made in a lab. I heard about that as well. The youth will rule the world coming. Hopefully most realize that. The youth will rule the world. The youth will definitely have to pay back all that debt. So depending on how that debt's restructured, the youth is going to have a large burden on their shoulders to carry. One step beneath BI making settlements. All right, so let me shift gears a little bit. I want to now see if there's any topics in reference to the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell. Share with me your thoughts on Jerome Powell. Anybody out there doing some homework and want to share their thoughts on Jerome Powell, and is he going to do anything different? I know last time we chit chat, somebody asked me if I think he's going to do something different, and so I haven't. I don't think he can, because what can he do? I mean, they're fighting deflation, so they're fighting deflation and in need of inflation. So it's going to be a tug of war, and it's all based upon confidence and the market. So they have to keep these markets pumped. Somebody made a comment. M. Miller, you should take the criminal Fabian Calvo off your front cover photo. So Mike, this is off topic, but Fabian Calvo, I haven't really looked into or checked into him. I haven't heard from him in a year. So I take it, you know, I hope nothing's bad has happened to him, because he's definitely a great voice out there as far as really educating people. But if you know something or are aware of something, or want to share with the audience about Mr. Calvo, please do so, because I think he was a great voice for the people, and he had a lot of good energy that definitely woke a lot of people up. Actually, monetary value of diamonds is $5 per carat. Central banks, gold and silver have general uses. Oh, yes, they do. And silver more so than ever. And I am a fan of really encouraging people of thinking about silver. And I'm more so saying silver in fractional terms, as far as I put together some research or whatever in regards to and how important it is to have one single small gram of silver, which was in 1960-61 when an actual silver dollar was worth a single piece of dollar paper. 1 gram was 5 cents, 3 cents, or something like that, I believe. And now 1 gram is over 55 or 60 cents for 1 gram. So that's, a major, of course not inflation adjusted, but so if you're able to get your hands on any type of small fractional silver, please do so. And that's the thing, because it's so plentiful. It's like holding a penny crypto. So actually, that's one thing I would probably want you guys to keep in mind or think about. It's one thing to hold an ounce of silver, but if an ounce of silver, which according to the debtclock.com, one ounce of silver is supposed to be like $800 if you were to count all the debt out there, and if you was actually tallied up, it's about $700-800. And so imagine that 1 gram of silver. If you were to get a gram of silver right now for a single dollar, and you held on to it, and you divide 1 gram into that's That's 20, 30, 40. I can't do the math offhand. If somebody want to do the math, but that's 20, 30, 40. How many ever pieces of paper that has the equivalent of purchasing power, retaining purchasing power as a single penny crypto type of thing. So that's another way of looking at silver. So that's how important it really is, because the smallest weight is going to be worth a lot of money down the line. Says print hard too. I think he stopped YouTube a while ago. Yeah, clearly he ain't been around. So hope all is well with him, man. Yet her YouTube lives as we listen. Yet here live. Is he a hawk? Sounding hawkish in the first address, maybe more important. The idea of no such thing as big to fail. Jerome Powell, he is a puppet. Yes. This is from Natalino La Maselli. Natalino, where are you calling from, my friend? I believe that's Italian. Wait, where are you located at, buddy? Jerome Powell is a puppet, yes, but he is trying to keep the system up so he doesn't get the blame like Trump and the administration is doing. But do you think they were meant for the reset? Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't know about, I don't know, because, the President Donald Trump has been very hard to read, because behind the scenes, for those who follow alternative media, he's been doing a lot of things that has disrupted the mainstream narrative. So a lot of things are coming out in a truth liberating mindset of the people type of way, which shows that he's been doing somewhat of a good job of draining the swamp, as he kind of said he would do. But then on the other hand, he has a lot of Goldman Sachs individuals and a lot of the same things that seem to be a part of the system. So I'm not sure if this is like a bait and switch on his part, where he's basically playing along with the system to then at the last minute pull the plug himself and do something. So it's hard to read. That's why I believe it's hard to tell until something actually happens. So the best thing to do is, in my estimation, is to realize and be convinced that monetary policy and fiscal policy will fail, because this whole tax reform is not going to be something beneficial for you or I, but it's meant to, prolong this, inevitable correction as long as they can. And so the idea they're going to cut taxes, but still need revenue to pay back just the interest on the debt while running a deficit doesn't quite make sense. But we'll see. Trump is draining the swamp, like he said. Nicole Blackman. Hey there, Nicole. He is draining the swamp. I would agree. And so it's just how he's draining the swamp is kind of like it's hard to read. It's hard for me to read. But yet I know for a fact, I can't say necessarily a fact, but I can confidently say that if the other candidate had won, then we would probably be in a different environment than we're in right now. We would probably be, at neck to neck confrontation, even more so with Russia than we are currently now. So we would probably already be in some type of war. Not that we're already in wars, but even more so. It'd be mainstream wars. The world is moving away from the dollar quickly. There will be no reset, but a ground up rebuild. Omni, that's a good thing. I hope that is the case. Just look at how the 1930s played out. This is all you need to know. Great Depression. Great Depression. A lot of people lost a lot, but then a small few who are aware and retain some type of wealth outside of the mainstream financial tools worked out quite well for those people. I would love to say that leaders are in this dire disaster management mode right now, but that damn cover, the economy is kind of messing with me. Salute depolarized sheeple. Yeah, so oh, that's a good one. Okay, so yeah, Bang Chief, good job, man, on mentioning that Economist cover. Okay, you mentioned 98. I'm not familiar with the 98 cover, but I'm thinking about the 88 cover, where they had that gold looking token. And so let me, I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the 1987 Economist magazine. I spelled the magazine wrong. Cover with gold eagle thingy on it. And so that cover, and of course, everyone's seen it because it's hard to miss. But for those that have not seen it, I'll share my screen so you can see Let me see. Share my screen. Screen share. Share. I'll share this screen here. So this is that cover I was referring to. So, here we go again. This could take us down another road. But I didn't even think of this until the Economist magazine was mentioned. But here we have the 1987 Economist magazine. And here we are in 2017. And so right here we have a get ready for a world currency. And so on that coin is 2018. So people, listen. This is something that's just another angle to look at. So here we have what looks like a gold coin with some type of new symbol. So remember I mentioned the dollar symbol not really being something that people want. So this symbol, whatever it might be, could be the symbol for that currency that's around this medallion, this neck of this eagle or whatever thing it is. But then look what it's sitting on. It's sitting on dollars. I see some yen. I see some all types of things there. They're on fire. So here we are. It's December 4th, 2017. We are less than 30 days away from 2018. Now, the question that I want to ask you guys is, what do you think was in I don't know who authored, I don't know the artist, I don't know anything about these people in 1987 because I wasn't really paying attention back then. But now that I'm aware of these things, what were they thinking when they came up with this cover and this medallion? And how did they guess or know that in 19, I'm sorry, I keep saying 19, in 2027, we would be here at this point where tokens is the primary subject matter that we are talking about tonight, and which is on mainstream media outlets all around the world. Everybody's talking about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So here we are now, 2017, a couple of days away from the new year, and all of a sudden we have this this magazine. So people, I don't believe in coincidences. And so cryptocurrency came out of nowhere, 2009. Okay, did it really? There was a gold token with a new monetary symbol around the neck of an eagle sitting on burning currencies. So this plays into more of my, when will the Federal Reserve start buying Bitcoin? Because they're going to buy Bitcoins and introduce their own coin or some type of coin, and then we're going to be forced to use it. So of course, this is me just running off at the mouth, but these are all things to think about, because that cover speaks a lot. It speaks a lot. It says a lot to me anyway. It says they are building on it. If they are smart, they go to, etc. So anybody got any thoughts on that cover? And where that cover kind of becoming mainstream topic, because coins and tokens are going to be the topics of 2018 like never before. But why? Why now? Is it by design? According to that cover of the Economist magazine, I would bet it is by design. But the people have to accept it. Norway's economy always runs a surplus, and the country never involves itself in any other country. Do you think the Norwegian krone is safe for when stuff hits the fan? I haven't really followed the Norwegian krona. It could be krona, but krone much. But once again, here we go. But it's a government or central bank issued note that is used by the government to fund itself. And as you say, they're running a surplus, which is a good thing. But I think they're heavily oil dominant. So financially, I don't think they're in that much greater shape to where they can really that currency can really retain its value when all other currencies around the world, they're all interconnected and pegged somewhere or another to the dollar, because everyone has to trade their currencies in to get dollars. So that whole currency thing, her currency question is very suspect. So I wouldn't be wanting really to hold them things myself. Sorry. Only two states have it on their books that go to our currency. Yep, Utah and Arizona. Utah as well. Utah, don't forget Utah. Here's another thing. I'm not endorsing this, but yet if you want to check out an opportunity, something I do believe in and I myself do use, it's upma.org, I believe. It's United Precious Metals Association. And so this is a a company that stores gold and silver, and you can get a debit card off of it. And they actually, because they passed a law in Utah saying that gold and silver is actual legal tender, which it already was, they now recognize it as a currency tradable amongst people. So they have a bank that you can use there that is quite neat and nifty. So that's a recommendation for those who want to listen. Just my thoughts. I didn't tell you to go out there and do it, but yet you got to have some options. If the Phoenix coin comes out, buy all in. Phoenix coin. Here's the thing, Bank Chief. If the Phoenix coin comes out, it's going to come out from a central bank or from the government directly. You may not be able to buy it because it's going to be controlled by them. They're going to force you to take it. So you may not be able to buy it. Tower of Babel all over. Here's a start on Calvo BBB Florida. Yeah, Mike Miller. I think somebody, if it wasn't you, somebody shared that with me via comment on some legal situations he had in regards to some of his products he was selling. Maggie W. Hi there. Thanks for joining the conversation. Says, I believe Lynette Zhang's analysis is 100% correct. They want to force us into cryptocurrency and digitize all assets and force us into the cashless society. That is the end game. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. And now look at that Economist cover and think about the fact we're less than 30 days away from, 2018 is going to be the year of major crypto craziness because of the ETFs and all of the exchanges. So I have some articles up here. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to share my screen again so that I can share with you some articles I have up. Just give you something to look at. Let me see here. Flip the screen back in and out. Boom. Share. Drop. I think I'm getting better with this. But here we have just from the CME group. It talks about the Bitcoin futures, which coming out in 2 weeks. So we got Bitcoin future quotes. They are on the Globex, already getting ready for that. Then here we have the CBO, the Chicago Global Markets or whatever, coming out with something as well. Then we have the next one here after NASDAQ. We have Moscow Stock Exchange is planning to introduce Bitcoin futures in August. So the Russian exchange announces infrastructural development to trade cryptocurrency. So here we go. Last couple of months, President Putin was saying cryptocurrency is not good. We don't condone it. We don't this. We don't that. But we have a Moscow Stock Exchange. So NASDAQ, Moscow, CME Group, whoever else is out there. Here's another article. Bitcoin futures race is on. So here we have Bitcoin future race is on. So we have CBOE, CME, NASDAQ all preparing for Bitcoin future trading. And they're all trying to do this before the new year. Why? Why the new year? Is it something to do with that setup for 2018? CBOE will be the first beginning Bitcoin futures trading on December 18th, December 10th. So to my knowledge, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the CBOE, this is new news. It came out in the last week or so that I'm aware of. And here we are 6 days away from this. So they're trying to beat the CME out, which is going to be December 18th. It says future trading in the cryptocurrency may make a Bitcoin ETF a possibility. So here's something else that we can talk about. This is on the idea that we have all these exchanges and all of these ETFs and opportunities for people to get involved. This investment money, just long, strong money about to come in. So here we have the idea that people are now about to really be encouraged by their brokers and financial advisors probably to get involved in this crypto craze. So we're gonna have even more people rushing in. So with all of this rushing in, we're gonna have retirees now, if they're not already. I don't know many. I haven't really asked many. We're gonna have retirees talking about, having Bitcoin in their portfolio along with all the conventional financial assets of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and ETF, all that other stuff. And then they're gonna have Bitcoin as a new financial asset class. And then, of course, I don't really think many financial advisors encourage people to go, actually have a percentage of their money in gold and silver. So we're going to have a heavy, paper denominated financial portfolio of financial tools that are conventional. Then you're going to have the new introduction of a lot of retirees into the Bitcoin, and then no real encouragement from people to hold on to anything historical and sound. So look how lopsided that is. That's all digits and paper based. So in 2018, if as I mentioned earlier, if there is some type of pump and dump on part of the Federal Reserve System, they're going to pump and dump for the idea of destroying confidence and destroying any type of momentum in cryptos. So imagine if there's a big goes down to from 11,000 to say $100 or $200. That is a major drop in price. And so if people have their portfolios allocated in any type of Bitcoin ETF or future, I'm not sure how they're going to control the value of that thing, being that it's all paper itself, but it's going to be a shock for a lot of people. And a lot of people who are playing the I'm going to make money game, if they lose money, imagine the panic and fear that's going to come across your mind, because they are probably taking on debt and doing all kind of other things to get involved in this market. So I'm just pointing out some things to be aware of. But teach his own. Hold that Bitcoin for 3 months and sell it, and 50% in silver. Omnibone. Good thought. Physical, of course. Yes, the race is on to get funds outside the dollar to prepare the elite to exert more control. What do you think, Natalini? Are they trying to force us out the dollar intentionally? I don't think they're trying to do it intentionally. I think they've lost control already. And so after the dot-com bubble burst and they start playing with the interest rates from raising it to dropping to raising it to drop and creating all these mass business cycles and all this malinvestment, I think that was a sign for the Eastern countries to begin making preparations, because if you look at a lot of gold charts from Russia and China, they really started accumulating gold in 2001, 2002, and it's been a slow incremental increase all the way through. So it's no coincidence that up until 2000 dot-com-ish era crash, that those central banks were sellers. But all of a sudden after the dot-com bubble and interest rates dropped, and they gave people house credits and car credits and all that stuff like that, they said, hey, these people are abusing their reserve status, and we're out of here. So let's start preparing for after the fact. And that's 18 years later. So they've been working on this for 18 years. I said, man, we can use the word sword, or we can use their swords to cut our bindings when we have worked together. I don't believe that Trump has thrown their plan back, at least for now. God's timing is not ours. Yes, Maggie, good call there. God's timing is definitely not and nowhere near in sync with ours. He's far ahead of us. He knows what's going on. That's what's so encouraging and exciting, to be honest with you. I'm so, interested and excited to how all this plays out, because I believe God is on the throne. His kingdom is here, and he's going to get the glory regardless. So it's going to be good for those that are in Christ and are aware of their kingdom citizenship right now. Thank God for that. Stock up if you can. Good luck to them. Each one is independent. I agree with you, Maggie. I have zero debt. I think I'll stay that way. Real, that is very good. Now watch this. Okay, man, it's just so much. This really gets me thinking. Here we go. Okay, so I kind of hesitate to say it because I'm going to go down a whole nother trail. But another thing that bothers me as I watch this shift take place and people begin to rush into cryptos and forget, sound, historical, truly time-tested, eternal, kingdom-based wealth in the form of metals and diamonds and jewels and all that stuff that comes from the earth. One of my biggest things, off subject, of course, is, anything mentioned on the element chart, the periodic table, anything mentioned on the periodic table is God's wealth that he gave us to have dominion over. So anything on our chart, if you own anything on our chart, you are wealthy beyond belief. Because think about most people outside of this country, live off, something crazy, $2-3 a day or a week or something like that. So if you have any form of metal from the ground, you are blessed. Anyway, back to my thought. So somebody just mentioned ago, Rihanna, about Jay Scott. It says, I have zero debt. I think I'll stay that way. And so, and this is how serious I believe this is going to get as things begin to shift and there's a restructuring of how our monetary system is ran. we're often used to looking at debt from a consumption-based standpoint of saying, okay, I'm debt free. So I don't have a house, no car, no mortgage, whatever it may be. So I'm debt free. But in actuality, the currency that we're using, our legal tender currency right now, it is a debt. So that's me. We're getting real technical, getting real below the surface, deep type of thing. But the currency we use is a debt. If you go to the Federal Reserve website and you look up what is a dollar, what's the difference between a Federal Reserve note and a United States Treasury certificate note, it gives you all the information you need as to how each note that is brought into existence is a liability of our government. So you're actually only as prosperous or as wealthy as your government, and our government is in a deficit. It's been in deficit over 10 plus, 15 plus years. And so our government lives in a negative. And so we're using their paper and as our wealth and as our future. We're saving it, we're investing in it. And we're still saying we're debt free, but we're just as wealthy as our country, and our country's in a negative. And because of confidence, and that's the only reason, confidence, and the fact that the Eastern neighbors haven't really switched off the switch yet, that's why it's still a value. But yet, when it comes to purchasing power, I've showed a lot of graphs in the past on how purchasing power has shown that we're not debt free, because the Federal Reserve is draining our country of any form of wealth, and it's draining us of our energy and our talents and everything else, because they're issuing this stuff at an alarming rate, and we're holding it and basing our futures upon it. So that's just me. Recently found this channel, and you're already in my top 5, brother. Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And it's just not until recently that I decided to switch up the format and the flow of this, because I want to reach more people who are of like mind. I really believe in trying to build up this RTD community. So I appreciate you joining me, because it's not about, this is, to be honest with you, it's not about me and you. Because if you're here, that means you're aware. That means you're awake. That means you know some things. But once again, that's only, how many people watching this right now? It's only 58 people watching us now. And maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 may actually watch it. But it's the people who have no clue that need to be a part of this conversation. It's the people who are so comfortable being comfortable that they are afraid to be woken up that need to be here right now. It's the people who are constantly in the matrix of what we've been taught, told, and encouraged to believe is true, but in actuality it was all a cover for us to kind of believe and to not ask questions. Someone keeps correcting me on that. So that's who this is about. It's about, getting people involved. And so as you look over my shoulder, RTD Live Talk, it says a voice for the people. So it's the people that makes this thing go around. And so that's why, if you guys enjoy chatting and want to chat more, invite friends, invite family, so they can see just a chat to see how many people out there are that really is awake and really about trying to educate more people. Gotta start somewhere. Michael, very true. So I'm appreciative, brother, that you're here. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Then, now, and what about the future? Bubble, bubble, bubble. They keep saying it. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a part of the whole mainstream narrative. They don't want people to rush in too fast, so it's in a bubble. They're trying to encourage people, but it scare people. You know what I'm saying? I see how odd that is. They encourage you to get in with some financial institutions because of it starting January 2018, it's going to be all this institutional money rushing in, but then they want to make sure you're aware that it's in a bubble and it could burst. But they not really tell you about the stock market being in a bubble. Interesting. I got to go. Put an address in any of your videos and video trips, and I will send some visitors. God bless. Alex, good deal, my friend. I will definitely do that. Or better yet, Alex, if you want to be a blessing, go to rethinkthedollar.com, go to the top corner. My email address is there. Email me directly, and I'll make sure I can get you a link if you want to be a blessing to me, brother. I appreciate it. I agree, but those that choose not to watch you or I can't help. Very true, and that's the thing. It's all voluntary. It's all by choice. That's what I love about the spiritual aspect in regards to just the concept of faith. It's all by free will. You're given a choice, and most people, because they tend to, not pay attention to things outside of their daily world or outside their own personal bubbles of their job, family, friends, passions, careers. They tend to focus on those things there. They don't think about trends, developing trends that impact their lives, or monetary policy that Jerome Powell is going to make this upcoming year that's going to affect their pocketbooks. Because, who wants to be bothered with things that causes change? Yeah, most people rather have change take place on their behalf as opposed to be the ones that initiate it. So not working, looking at the growth. Boom. Interesting. So let me get to a couple more points, man. Get to a couple more points, and feel free to ask some more questions and present more questions to the group. Love to get your thoughts. Okay, yeah, okay, here we go. The very last point, my fourth point. So my first point, if I'm not mistaken, was cryptos undermine the use of Federal Reserve notes and other currencies. So that's one reason why central banks are going to do something about it and going to get involved. Next one is it's competition. So, no central bank, no monopoly, nor no controlling authority, government or central bank wants any type of competition. It's just not possible. You can't make the choice. You can't call shots and be the boss if you got a competitor. So that's why Bitcoin is going to be bought up, purchased, or so there's going to be some type of hiccup that's going to happen. Next one. Next point is competition cryptos. Okay. Okay. So my very last one, the third one, five. I'm all off course with it, but there's never no format to it. But the next one is that, and this is another term that if you're here, I'm sure you're familiar with, but then there might be some here who are not familiar with it. But the concept of de-dollarization, that's another term that has become a little bit more, it's creeping out of alternative news into the mainstream a little bit. And so beyond the crypto aspect and the rush away from paper by the people, as well as soon to be the institutions, we have things happening out east with development of the gold contracts and oil. Then we have the de-dollarization aspect of how this is basically considered, this rush into cryptos is basically considered a small public outcry of themselves de-dollarizing. So the more people buy cryptos, they are choosing to de-dollarize their own personal holdings in exchange for something that has more promise. And so if you have governments de-dollarizing, then you have the institutions now about to start de-dollarizing as they're pumping in Federal Reserve notes or whatnot and other currencies into cryptos to short it, to try to harm the industry ultimately. Because I don't believe any of these exchanges or options of trading are intended to help out, people's portfolios for real. It's more so to get some institutional money in there so they can prop it up, buy some things, and probably dump or transition us into that new coin or currency, whatever. But the idea that people are choosing to de-dollarize can be looked at in one instance as a good thing, because people have choice now, just not sound money. You have crypto choice. But now the fact that the mainstream media is getting involved and all these exchanges are rushing, they're rushing now to get involved in this increase, raises a red flag. So why are they encouraging people to de-dollarize unless they have something set for the next year or years ahead? So those are all things to really consider. It says not a currency yet. Who we got? Nicole, what I said you made was good food for thought. Appreciate it. It says, here's what gets me. One terrorist attack on a major electronic station and probably won't know what to do. Why would you not set yourself up to deal without power for a week, not only investing? Yeah, very true, very true. That is one thing most people don't really consider is energy. And I myself, I must admit, I've been kind of behind the eight ball on that, but yet having alternative storage of energy. And so it's storing energy what will be needed to get back and forth to where you're trying to go, as well as to power your home and power your computer and just the power of things. So energy is, a form of, could be a form of currency. If somebody can plug in, somebody pay you a lot of money to plug into your generator or plug into your power bank just to, do something in their own home. So that's another form of preparation that people can consider as well. Digital assets already have a power generator, I assume. Methods out here. As a miner, I have done my research, so A power outage only forces people to provide power for sale, leaving the system to further fail. Interesting. I can live with wood in my yard. Okay. Majority, I assume. Interesting. Yeah. So that is kind of what I had in mind for when will the Federal Reserve start buying Bitcoin, just to kind of, get more back on track with that. I believe that they are kind of behind and encouraging the increase in these exchanges and these futures. So they are definitely involved through the CME group that, the Federal Reserve and other central banks that are part of that system of control aren't aware of. So they are part of it. So the question is, us for what is happening in the days ahead that is in such a dire need that they all rush in before the new year. So that's good to say. It's good to say the cryptocurrency market cap as of right now, I think it's 300 and something billion. So it could reach $1 trillion by March, April. And so everyone is going to have a lot of more digits in their possession. And so they're going to feel a sense of wealth or whatnot. But yet, if that's all you're holding and you're not redeeming some of those things for sound historical type of assets, then you may not be as wealthy in the end as you might think you are. It says this being my favorite channel, I am going to share this video on Facebook and Twitter as you. Okay, my favorite channel. My question is a good skill to be able to do on your own guard. And my question is a good skill to be able to do your own guard. I have no gardening skills. Very creative though. I'm able to come up with a lot of great ideas that can get things done. Do it yourself, solar, wind, water, power, wood for heat. Have a lot of wood. Right. They are in, but not all of those. Control is still limited. They're all in control. Yeah, control is limited from what we know, but we never know what kind of hat tricks they can pull out their hat. Because to think of how things have transpired since the last Great Recession, how nothing's really improved on the surface, but being patched up and covered up with more debt. So we had 21 trillion. They're going to be added to that real soon. And then if you remember from a video I posted last week from Jerome Powell talking about how serious the debt was. And the question by one of the senators was, what if we raise the debt by $1 or $2 trillion? Would that be something that we should be concerned with? And he was like, yeah, that is something we should definitely be concerned with. And the reason is because our interest payments go up. And so we're already strapped for cash. So we got to borrow more. So it's going to be a problem. History being made now with crypto. Open the eyes and see it clearly. History has been made. Omnibone, I believe that. I can admit that. It's just that I'm not real like gun ho, like woohoo ha in the street celebrating when cryptos go through the roof, just because you still got to get out of those things, and you still gotta, I'm just skeptical, man. I'm skeptical because especially just seeing an economist cover, seeing the gold token around an eagle's neck, burning currencies, 2018 coming up. That just gives me more things to think about, more stuff I'm sure I'm gonna come up with for our next discussion on topics to ask you. So be ready for more questions. Omnibone. City will come in while country tries to protect or more move to cities. City will come while country tries to protect, move to cities. Yeah, with countries bypassing the dollar, do you think the banks will allow the people to use other currencies with a central bank not being able to control the world? I don't really think they can control what people use initially, because there's going to be a small few who are able to exchange amongst themselves with, either barter, precious metals, or cryptocurrencies. But then the majority of people who are going to be the ones going to the ATM trying to get money out, and they're going to find out it's not really there in the first place. Those are the ones that are going to be like, we'll take anything. We'll take anything. So, it won't be hard to issue a new currency to the masses, just because people are going to need solutions. So I think the banks will have a solution. They're going to have a digitally based solution. Like, for example, just hypothetically speaking, every person who has a bank account in one of the too big to fail banks, it's already written in Dodd-Frank that the Treasury is in charge of helping resolve how that all unravels. And they're going to basically make or allow everyone who are depositors in those banks to become equity holders. So everyone's going to have some shares or stock in those too big to fail banks. And then what I can see happening is that those who are shareholders in those too big to fail banks, because you can't get your money out right away, it's easier to issue a blockchain based currency. I'm just throwing out some names, but like the Bank of America coin or the Goldman Sachs coin. And because you have equity shares, they can easily deposit some of those shares when you need it into your blockchain based wallet. And so you can use your blockchain based wallet at your local store, just scan your QR code, but they are the ones in control of it. So those are all options for the banks to have when things hit the fan. So there's multiple ways that they can continue to control and to be involved in things. Because remind you, once again, I'm sure you're aware, but the central bank is a bank for the banks. It's designed by the banks. It was for the banks. The primary shareholders of the Federal Reserve Bank are the too big to fail banks. So you believe it, they're not going to leave their boys out hanging high and dry. So they're going to take care of their boys. Think on the control bar, look at Greece, then have to adapt. Yeah, they can't control barter, have to adapt. They can't control barter, look at Greece and the way they are getting through. Right? I think with the Greece situation, I heard that they went door to door, or they're going door to door to in places or with people who are known to have some type of wealth, whether it be metals, whatever, any type of assets outside the banking system. I believe I've read they visit houses to kind of check on you and see what you got. So that's Greece. It'd be hard to come in. It'd be hard to come into a lot of houses in America because people, I don't think they're gonna sit by and allow people to just come up in their house. Because we are the most heavily armed country on the planet. Greece would have been so much better off if they just used Bitcoin. I'm sure the Greek government, those that are not afraid of the IMF and the EU, they have a Greece coin, or going to have a Greece coin. Joseph Brown. So yeah, Venezuela, offered this new coin. We're going to see how this plays out, because if they are able to get some type of blockchain-based cryptocurrency where everyone gets a wallet according to your social security number type of thing, yeah, there's going to be a lot more countries coming out with that. What are your views about gold money? Do you think it's safe? Is it safe wealth? Joseph Brown. Good question, man. Gold money. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had the founder, James Turk, on the show. We've had some good talks. We actually, we've emailed each other a couple of times in the past. Great guy, hardworking guy, has built a great company there. And for me, over the last couple of months, as they become more mainstream, they become the bigger they've grown, the more invasive they've become as far as those who are holding funds, because they have to meet certain regulations and certain financial restrictions and certain type of reporting types of info. It went from just a simple account where you just open up, deposit, withdraw. Now it's like you got to open up, deposit, withdraw, give you information, report where you work, why you make, how much you make, who your best friend is. And so it's become a real bank. And so now it's like I'm not really a fan. I do involve myself with gold money as far as having the options of storing things. So I do that, but I'm not real big fan on it. Ever since they kind of changed the policy and they've gone mainstream for me to where I wouldn't tell nobody to go do it, put it like that. That's my thing. That's just my opinion. Maybe the country, but individuals in Greece figure it out. What do you know about the Fed coin? Is it a cryptocurrency or something, other type of tender? I don't know anything about the Fed coin. I've heard it mentioned via alternative media more so than anything else, as just a way to label a crypto to the Federal Reserve by calling it Fed coin. I don't think I've heard anybody mention this in the works, but they're investigating the blockchain, so they're going to call it some type of coin. And one of the benefits of the blockchain I've kind of come to grips with is the fact of how it makes everything smoother, because it's software. It can be done through computer, so it's less headache to code and do all the things and put it in a single format than to have entire several companies doing all same things for you. You can have a software or something like that handling all that thing. So I think they're going to do something in that manner, and I could play into that whole 2018, when will the Feds buy a Bitcoin? They can also, another thought, they could buy a Bitcoin to kind of reduce its market cap so that they can introduce their Fed coin, and then somehow off of that try to make everyone deal with the Fed coin and then legally outlaw Bitcoin usage or altcoin usage because it competes with the Fed coin or whatever coin they may roll out. So those are all possibilities. He hates too much against BTC, yet gold money takes BTC. So you're talking about James Turk, he hates on BTC. I think I follow him on Twitter, and I think he shares his thoughts on how he uses it as a measuring tool for alternative things, how the alternative market is shifting outside of the conventional financial instruments. So he's using it as a measuring tool more so from what I've seen. But maybe you're looking at a different source. It says they better keep it. I moved 3,000 in West Virginia a month ago, and you could not believe the questions I got from the bank. Yeah, and 3,000, that's it's not a lot of money. So the fact that they questioned 3,000, imagine if it was 30,000. Yeah, you probably have to wait. You ain't getting that out. Yeah, but that's all part of the whole new banking laws. Once again, if you looked at the trend over the last couple of years, since the banks have went to zero interest rates, there's no longer such thing as earning interest. There's cash back only. And so along with those cash backs, not only do we lend them our money and we get nothing in return, but then they question us on when we need our money back. Yeah, interesting. The key to Becky Pride, hackers already tried Bitcoin. Are you going to interview Jim Rickers and Lizette Zane? They have some great knowledge like you do. Share a video with 3 of course. Yeah, someone mentioned that last time. Jim Rickers, I follow his writing. I prefer to stick to his writing because if you've noticed, if you follow him via his videos, he only does interviews when he comes out with a new book. And his new book, his entire conversation is based upon his research that's already in his book. And he never really goes around the mainstream topics. If you try to steer him off course to something more, alternative media based or conspiracy based, he'll just, he'll either say, I don't know, or I can't really speak on that. But I can tell you that the research here is, from what I've said, is, yeah, okay, I don't really, that's not, I don't think, other than his articles, you can't really get much new. Or if you need to find out what's really happening, just go buy his book. And actually, I bought all his books, so I've read them. So I kind of know what his school of thought is. Gold will increase in value, but silver percentage wise will be a better investment. Hands down. It's about $60 counting for inflation. I think he's referring to your 30,000 real, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ooh-wee, there's an angle for sure. What are we talking about? Need a blockchain messenger. Need a blockchain storage. Keep going. Right, we need a blockchain. I need someone. I don't need someone. It's going to come eventually. But we are in need of a blockchain-based computer operating system. We're in need of a blockchain-based operating system for our cell phones. And so once those things come to market, which they are coming, I'm pretty sure, that's going to really shake up the game. Because think about when you have choices other than Apple or iOS or Windows or Linux, or you got some type of blockchain just decentralized or some type of hidden secret type things, and then you have a cell phone operation system other than iOS and Android, because BlackBerry is switched to Android. And so they've cornered the markets and everything. So we're in need of more technology-based things like this. They are here. Omnibone, give me some names, brother, and I'm definitely gonna look into it. Haha, can you hold my wallet for me? Ethereum is similar to a virtual PC. Very true, but I've heard about some scaling issues. I've heard about how the network clogs up when you have too much going on at one time. So it's in its infancy stage as far as it being effectively used for every single thing we need, according to what I hear. Give me the key RTD. I'll hold the coins for you. Give you the key. Key to what? Yeah, buddy. Jay Scott. Can you hold my wallet for me? Hold your wallet. Jay Scott. Yeah, Omnibone Core, I'm familiar with that. Here's the thing, I'm familiar with that. Actually, and here's the thing, I downloaded that wallet, attempted to use it, and it's still in development. So they're kind of selling coins on something that's not even fully functional, like a lot of these companies. So I'm hoping it works. I do hold some core, or however it's pronounced, because that is a technology that I'm aware of. So yeah, way to give me a heads up on that one. I actually got involved with that, thinking it was already ready. Keep the crypto you have. You need someone to hold the storage. Yeah, buddy, I'll pass. I don't really need anybody to hold anything. I don't hold much, so it would do you no good. Faulty, I stated. Thoughts on Ripple? Joseph Brown. I, other than hearing it's the banker's coin, never really knew much about it, even though it has a huge market cap. I remember, when I first came across Ripple back when it was less than a penny, and to see it grow, 25 times to 25 cents, it's been a good ride. But I don't know much about it to where I can recommend it, whatever. But it was one of those things where it was a penny stock back when I first heard about it, 3 or 4 years ago. So, and I don't really, care for it now. But it's one of those things where, what does it hurt to hold a $20 bill worth of Ripple? Buy pressure can and jars. They are on clearance right now. The angle of tier cryptos down to one legal option. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Wait for the crash. You just stated that you are looking for storage. What is the difference, me or a comp you know nothing about? You just stated that you usually are looking for storage. I'm not sure that's for me. I'm not looking for storage. I just like options of things that are alternatives to things that are being monopolized, if that's referring to anything I said. Storage coin. I heard about it. I've watched it, I watched it and appreciate value nominally, but never really found out more about it. That's the thing, there's so many coins. I mean, you got to be filthy rich or willing to really invest a lot to play around with these things. For starters, company. Not sure what that means. Oh, different meaning of company you know nothing about. You just say that you are looking for storage. What is the difference? Me or a company you know nothing about? Jay Scott, not really sure what that's about, buddy. So yeah, so here we are. We are going a little longer than I planned on going, and so basically it was a good chat. I thank everyone for showing up and for contributing via questions or whatnot. Hope that this subject matter was thought-provoking and it got you to think a little bit outside the mainstream narrative and to, question some things, and hopefully some red flags were brought to your attention on, this rush into the crypto world by everybody and their mother and daddy and little brother, and probably getting a dog some cryptos. But yet, be wary, be concerned, be careful, and do your research. Never take anyone's advice here as it being something that you should make moves upon, because it's just all opinion-based stuff here. And so I think it's important to definitely, try to, get this information out, give some people something to talk about, because this RTD Live Talk is about having people such as yourself join me to voice your opinions and voice your thoughts. So, I definitely see this channel. I'm gonna think of new ways to get more people involved. And once, I get that brave soul out there willing to call in and chit chat, we get more actual live video footage / live voice stuff going on. So that's how this will eventually play out, I believe, because more people will hear about it and more people will join and get educated and learn some things, hopefully. So other than that, I want to just close this out by saying thanks for joining. Anybody got any last minute questions, I'd be love to share my thoughts and opinions. But other than that, if not, everybody, appreciate you for contributing to this, and look forward to bringing you another thought-provoking question and conversation sometime later this week, hopefully. I would like to probably try to do these every other day or whenever there's some type of major announcement that I think definitely needs to be addressed. This was very thought-provoking, and I would tell people about your channel in my area of New York, Westchester, and friends I know in New York City. Natalino, appreciate it. I thank you for, sharing the word. Definitely. I try to share it any way I can. I have, and also if you are not here's a little chance for me to get connected with you more. I'm on Instagram at Rethinking a Dollar, at Rethinking a Dollar. You know, look for me on Instagram. And then I'm also on Facebook. I have 2 channels, at RTD World News and at Rethinking a Dollar. So subscribe there. I share articles whenever I'm not able to do video. I share articles that I'm trying to do more writing. It's been a while. It's hard to write and do videos all at the same time, but I enjoy it all. And what else? And then also on Steam It. I'm on Steam It at RTD. So look for me on Steam It. I love to connect there. And then that's another little platform where you can get involved in cryptos and not even need to spend any money other than to just use your talents and your time. You can, you know, add value to the system and receive something from that. So other than that, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Enjoy your day. And then also, if you would please, I would love for you to share this particular video on your social media and get more people thinking, and hope we get more people joining us next time. So other than that, enjoy your night and be safe out there. Thanks.